What would you do if the person you love suddenly asked for the unimaginable? She wants an open relationship, but you can't accept it. Would you stay in a fake relationship or find the courage to walk away? And if you decide to break up, can you escape the obsession and extreme actions of the person you once loved? Can the deep bonds of love be torn apart just because of a shocking decision? Everything starts when the boyfriend chooses to break up. But where does it go from here? Is it revenge, regret, or something much bigger? First girlfriend, 28 female, wanted to have an open relationship. I, 29 male, broke up with her. Now she's gone insane. My girlfriend and I have been together since January of 2011. I always took pride in the fact that we were the couple that could solve things without fighting. We were both pretty mature people, and the disagreements we have had throughout our relationship have been taken care of. Now here comes the situation at hand. My girlfriend works in a beast where it's basically her, a bunch of women, and this one guy. This one guy that works there is a real ladies' man type guy, and my girlfriend is enamored by this guy. Nothing new here. I get it. We have been in a relationship for a long time, and lusting after something new isn't bad. However, my girlfriend started pushing more than that. She basically started asking me, what if I was to have a threesome with you if I was asleep with another guy? She started pushing more and more about things we should do before we tie the knot and become boring old people. Then she started saying that I worked out so much and look so much better now than when I first got with her. Now is my chance to get some more action, etc. And she started pushing this idea of an open relationship. I realized that her crush was something far more than that, and I didn't need her in my life. There were some complaints I had about the relationship, and now is my chance to find someone new that didn't have those faults. So I simply told her that this isn't something I want to do anymore, and that I think we should see new people. I don't think it sunk into her until like the day after when I deleted her off social media. Then she legitimately snapped. She forced herself into my apartment. Roommates were there and just sat there crying. She ended up buying me more really expensive shirts, over $300 a piece, for her to show me her love. And in general, she's going crazy. She's taking sick leave from her work. I don't have any desire for getting back together with her. I know a lot of people will say I'm bad for giving up on a relationship after so many years. But the thing was, I cared about her. But when she started talking about her lust towards the other guy, it basically killed my feelings towards her. And honestly, I'm at a point in my life where I'm happy with how things with just me are. I know I'm an awesome person, and I don't need to convince anyone to stay. The thing is, I don't know what to do about her. She's legitimately freaking everyone out with her behavior. The thing which really worries me is that she knows the password to a lot of my important things, since I use basically the same 3 passwords. I've gone out to change a lot of them, but I am scared she can screw me over. And there's an update. After posting, I went ham, trying to remember every important account I used and was able to change passwords. So the good thing is now, I got a bunch of unique passwords. Now with my ex-girlfriend, things took a different turn. I called her sister to get her to take back the shirts my girlfriend bought me. Well, turns out the company she ordered from doesn't do returns. The shirts were nice, so I decided to keep them and just give her sister the money to give to her. While we were arranging things, her sister talked to me about the relationship. She said that she wants me to know that my girlfriend in every way was dedicated to me, that she envisioned me as the guy she was going to have kids with, grow old with, and that the guy from work was nothing to her. I told her that I get that, but after the whole situation, my opinion of her changed, and my attraction and love towards her went away. And boom, her sister went crazy on me too, saying that you were a freaking pig that wasted my sister's pretty years, and you never had the intention of manning up and marrying her. After that, I basically decided to go zero contact with my ex, her family, and her friends. I was constantly getting messages, even had my ex-girlfriend show up at my apartment just to make sure I was alive. I went to a bar I like to go to often with 2 of my guy friends. I was talking to some girl, and seriously, out of nowhere, my ex and her friends found us. She started crying, saying that I was cheating on her, that we weren't officially broken up yet. Her friends kept on telling me to give her a chance. The whole thing got really uncomfortable. She said if we did the whole open thing, only if I wanted to, she would have let me sleep with her friends, have threesomes, pointed out a friend of hers that's always found me hot saying I could have her. I told her that it's a lot for me and I need time to think things through. I just said that to get out of the situation. I ended up finding out she knew where I went because one of my guy friends invited my girlfriend's friend, who he thought was interested in her. So that's the situation. The big problem with our breakup was the fact that we were together for so long, so our friend groups meshed and all. Not really sure how to handle her popping up in my life. Next up, girlfriend confused and debating an open relationship or being single again. My girlfriend, 30 female, and I, 35 male, have been together for a bit over 5 years and living together for most of that time. A couple of months ago, she started a new job that has left her very busy and stressed, physically and emotionally. Since starting the job, she's had very little time for me because anytime she's not at work, she wants alone time to decompress. Unfortunate, but understandable. I value my alone time as well. I am very understanding of her needs, but her job schedule isn't short-term and could continue on this way for a long time. Whenever I've mentioned wanting to spend more time together, she gets frustrated because she sees it as me adding one more problem to her to have to deal with. Eventually, she told me her life has become overwhelming and she feels unable to address or help me fulfill my needs. A bummer, but I get it. It's a new job that she's passionate about, and she's always been a high-anxiety person. A few days ago, we began talking about our relationship, and she mentioned being curious about having a polyamorous relationship with me after a girl at work told her she and her boyfriend were also having issues, and polyamory is what they decided to try. I was shocked. My immediate thought was she's already seeing someone else or has her eyes on someone else. I asked her, and she denied seeing anyone else, but said she misses feeling free to act on impulses and not having to worry about the responsibility and boundaries that come with a monogamous relationship. I told her I don't know how I might feel in the future, but I'm definitely not comfortable with the idea of having an open relationship at this time. The conversation eventually boiled down to me saying she can't have me, and the freedom to act on any impulse without any regard to how it might affect me, and her saying she's now debating just being single because maybe she's not in a good state of mind to be in a committed relationship. At first glance, it seems fairly straightforward that our relationship is over, but there's more to the story, or as they say, but wait, there's more. There was a time early on in our relationship when I was thriving in life while she was struggling. I was ultra confident, optimistic, and excelling in all my pursuits, while she was struggling to love herself and suffered with feelings of inadequacy and insecurity. She also had fun often and worked hard as well, of course. I loved her dearly and always tried to reassure her that I see many reasons why she could be confident, but I'm not sure how helpful she found any of my opinions or advice. Eventually, we began bickering over issues such as jealousy. Anytime I mentioned another woman, even casually like a coworker when telling her about my day, she would get upset. It got to a point that I told her that I found her insecurity to make her less attractive to me and that I'm attracted to confidence. That didn't go over well. After much thought, I began wondering how fulfilled I felt in the relationship, and at some point asked her how she'd feel about trying an open relationship. That didn't go over well either. She seemed uninterested, and I valued my bond with her far more than some sexcapade could ever. So I dropped the issue and devoted more attention to our relationship. There was some sexual frustration for a while, and I'm sure she began to feel even more insecure. After some reflection, I realized that I felt far more fulfilled trying to improve our relationship than trying to find out how many girls I could sleep with. There were certainly opportunities for me to do so, along with much sexual tension at work, but my thoughts always went back to her and how nothing made me happier than knowing I make and made her happy. Time passed and we had our ups and downs, but the love was always there, even during the most stressful moments, and things never escalated to extreme levels. Then I got really sick. It started as some sort of nasty acute infection and transitioned into something chronic and debilitating. Almost overnight, I went from super athlete, outgoing and fun, social and compassionate, killing it at work, to needing to quit my job and all forms of exercise. My sport was my main passion. Not able to see friends and could barely walk to the grocery store a block away from our apartment, I fell into a deep depression. She provided emotional support and helped me immensely just by being there. I'll always be grateful to her for that, but her kindness still couldn't alleviate my battle with my biology. I grew distant and withdrawn. Very gradually, I began to become more functional and was able to return to work, though I was still struggling to do everything and in constant pain. This was hard on her too. Not only was she watching someone she cared about suffer while unable to help me, but her needs for me were not being met, and I felt guilty about all that. Though I was regaining some physical health, my depression remained. This, of course, put a strain on our relationship. I wanted to be alone more often. I felt like I couldn't be a good partner for her or even learn how to enjoy my own life anymore. I felt lost. We still had fun together, but less often than before. We argued more. The love was still there, but it felt more strained and ambiguous. There was a strong foundation in our relationship that remained, though, and that was that we could depend on one another if either of us needed help. We trusted and loved each other still, but our own private struggles were seeping into our shared life. I felt too down to be close with anyone and respected her too much to fake the intimacy she craved, so we spent more time apart. I continually assured her my coping strategies and subsequent issues had nothing to do with her, that I still loved her and that I didn't want to be with anyone else. But I needed time to recover. A chronic physical illness doesn't care about your relationship status. I just hoped to myself that I could recover sooner than later and get back to enjoying the happiness we once shared. My health continued to slowly improve, and I began to get back out into the world and contemplate all the things I'd experienced and would like to experience. I discovered a new gratitude for my health and the people and opportunities in my life. Loss or near loss often seems to inspire gratitude. I began doing more exercise and looking into starting a new career and taking back control of my life. I also began reaching out to more people in my life and wanted to reconnect with them and let them know how much they meant to me. Unfortunately, that gesture might have been a bit too late for my girlfriend. Over time, she learned to adapt to my lack of intimacy by numbing her needs for affection. She began to focus more on other things like her work and didn't look at me the same as she used to, and her eyes was pure, excited love. I missed the way she used to look at me. I feared I soured her because I was so unavailable and felt extremely guilty. I missed seeing her happy. I missed making her happy. My new lease on life and the business of trying to spread my love again began really taking shape about 2 months ago, but had been building slowly for a while. My girlfriend and I were still very close, and hanging out daily and laughing together by this point. We began having more sex again, and it was good sex. We weren't having much of any while I was sick. I was feeling increasingly optimistic about the future. Also, about 2 months ago, my girlfriend left a job she hated for a new job with much more responsibility and an insane amount of pressure and weekly hours. I began to worry about her health and sanity. This brings me to the beginning of this post and present day. Her and I have essentially swapped personality roles. She now seems emotionally detached and unavailable, with me at least, while I have become emotionally needy and loving. Now my debate is, and the reason I made this post, is how do I perceive this relationship as it stands now, and also depending on what she decides she wants to do. She mentioned wanting to be friends still, even if she wants to be single and see other people. On the one hand, she's my best friend, and it's painful imagining her not being in my life. On the other hand, knowing she wants to be intimate with other people and not with me would also be painful, and every time I'd see her, I imagine it would remind me that the connection that was once so special to us and was only for us, she now wants with someone else. Catch-22, what I don't think she realizes is that our friendship is heightened by the intimacy of our relationship, and the intimacy is heightened by the friendship. They are codependent. One without the other wouldn't carry the same weight or meaningfulness, and might even feel awkward and forced. It seems she wants her cake and to eat it too. I'm not so sure that's the possibility. I think a big part of this change in her is she's turning 30 in a month, which means leaving her 20s, and that has her thinking about getting older. Also, she's been boosting her confidence by excelling in a career role with much responsibility, and after a lifetime of self-esteem issues, her ego must be quite excitable. More or less, I think she's surfing an ego high while worried she's wasting her youth. So the thought of settling into a monogamous relationship scares her. Seems like a no-brainer that the relationship is over, right? Well, the thing that still gives me a shred of hope that things might eventually work out with the woman I deeply love is my relatability to her situation. Not long before I met her over 5 years ago, I went through a similar phase. I spent most of my life with massive insecurity, built courage, then confidence. Then I experimented to the fullest with everything I felt too scared to embrace before. I found that I attracted many women with my new confidence, and I ran with it. So I understand where she's coming from and why she wants to explore it. But when I was going through this experience, I was single and didn't have to end a relationship to pursue my curiosities. And I learned from trying to enjoy meaningless sex with different people that I got old and felt empty and boring after a short amount of time. And I craved the emotional connection that made the sex and the friendship more interesting and intense. I wonder if she would come to a similar conclusion or if she would take a different direction. It's also hard to judge her for suggesting a polyamorous relationship since at one point I was the one suggesting that while she was the one content with a monogamous relationship. Empathy. So now, during this time apart, I'm debating what I'm willing to do in order to maintain a healthy relationship with her, depending on what she decides she wants. We've both been open to polyamory in the past at different times, and both open to monogamy at the same and different times in the past. Will I one day be open to the idea of polyamory one day again? Seems like a hard no right now, so probably not, but who knows? Will she change her mind like I did and realize how rare our connection is, has been, and could be still and be open to embracing a monogamous relationship again? That's the best case scenario for me right now, but it seems like a long shot. I'm having a really hard time predicting how this will all turn out. During our last conversation yesterday on the matter at hand, I proposed a compromise of trying to reestablish a strong base for our relationship. Just the two of us. Then if she still has that itch, bring in a girl for threesome, she's bi. Then if she's still not satisfied, she can have an experience with girls on her own. And the final step, the only one I have a major issue with, really, would be her having an experience with other guys on her own. And if somewhere along the line one of us gets too uncomfortable and feels it's just not working out, then at least we can say we tried. Otherwise, the other options are splitting up and staying friends, splitting up and cutting all contact, commit to a monogamous relationship, commit to a polyamorous relationship. To make matters a bit more complicated, we share a one-bedroom apartment with 2 pets we both adore and lovingly refer to as our children. And neither of us is in any financial position to move out. So yeah, I'm pretty freaking stressed out, sad and confused. I'm a fool in love with a broken heart. I can barely eat or sleep. I'm a fool in love with a broken heart. I can barely eat or sleep. I've become utterly consumed by the pain of potentially losing someone I love more than I've ever loved anything or anybody. I'm also still trying to recover my health, which the stress is not helping with, and lost my job due to the COVID pandemic. And of course, the person I would normally turn to first before anyone else in a time of crisis is the very same person that doesn't seem to want to be near me anymore. Or for the time being, at least. My best friend, lover, partner in crime, favorite person on this planet might not want to be those things anymore. I went from climbing out of a personal hell after years of suffering to finally realizing what mattered and how to embrace it while feeling excited about the future, to the present situation. Feeling like I lost almost everything I hold dear overnight. I feel overwhelmed. I know complaining isn't helpful, and things could be worse, so I'm grateful. But sometimes it just feels good to vent. All I can think to do now is to try to focus on bettering myself, my health, find a new job, while also trying to figure out what I want to do about our relationship, depending on what she says when she decides what she wants. And I have no idea when that will be. And also how to deal with our living situation if things become emotionally intense. The stress is eating me alive. I badly want to talk to her about thoughts I've had, such as how at one point I was curious about seeing other people too, but ended up very relieved that I didn't go through with it, because I realized it would ruin the rare and amazing connection I had with her, and that I don't want her to potentially destroy an amazing relationship for something easy to find. She's a pretty girl. She'd have no trouble finding sex if she wanted to find it, that she might regret later after trying it, but by then the damage would already be done, and it would be too late. She's even already expressed that very scenario being one of the things that scares her about ending our relationship. She fears regretting throwing away a meaningful 5-year partnership with a person she's told me she never knew she could love so much and has never loved anyone more than in exchange for the sense of freedom that comes with pursuing casual sex. I want to remind her about all the great times we've had so she doesn't just focus on the bad. Meanwhile, she's spending 12 hours a day with men and women that she feels sexual tension with and works alongside the girl that originally put the idea of having an open relationship in her head. The odds are certainly against me, so should I make an effort to share my thoughts? Should I keep my distance and just hope for the best? The giving her space arrangement is odd and confusing. She said she needs space to organize her thoughts while alone and also see if she misses me. But how much could she test if she misses me when we share a small apartment and physically see one another every day? She also says it doesn't have to be super strict, no talking or eye contact type situation. Just giving her the choice of what we do or don't do, essentially putting her needs ahead of my own. Yesterday, I held her while she cried. Last night before bed, we hugged and said we loved each other after she offered to trim my hair. This whole situation is so bizarre and confusing. I love this girl more than I thought I was capable of loving another human being. And I've had many other girlfriends, some long-term, and I will do almost anything I can to make it work and keep her in my life. But I still have limits and self-respect. So this situation is very confusing. She almost died in my arms one night, and I had to save her life. She saved my life by being by my side when I was at my lowest points. We've been through a lot together. I don't want to lose her. In the end, the story of the boyfriend in this video is more than just a breakup. It's a powerful journey of self-discovery. It reminds us that life often challenges us in ways we never expect, and the choices we make in those moments define who we are in the future we build. This wasn't just about the end of a relationship. It was about the courage to face uncomfortable truths and the determination to walk away from a situation that no longer served him. The moments of joy and love that the boyfriend once shared with his girlfriend were real, but they were followed by a deep sense of betrayal and confusion. He stood at a crossroads in his life, caught between the familiarity of a long-term relationship and the painful realization that it was time to let go. The girlfriend's suggestion of an open relationship wasn't just a passing thought. It represented a fundamental shift in what she wanted and expected from their bond. For him, it was a line he couldn't cross, a boundary that made him question the very foundation of their love. While the girlfriend tried to hold on, expressing extreme emotions, the boyfriend had already made up his mind. His decision to break up was firm, and although it wasn't easy, he knew that it was the only way forward for him. He had to reclaim his own peace of mind, his own sense of self. It wasn't about anger or resentment, but about recognizing that the relationship had become toxic and that he needed to prioritize his own happiness and emotional well-being. This story highlights a powerful lesson that many of us struggle to learn. Sometimes we need to walk away in order to grow. The hardest part of any relationship, it is often not when things are going well, but when we're faced with the realization that we've outgrown it. Relationships, no matter how long they last, are not meant to confine us or prevent us from living the life we want. The boyfriend in this story took a step that many would shy away from. He chose to put his own needs first, and in doing so, he set himself on a path toward healing and self-discovery. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that we should fight for a relationship at all costs, that love should be enough to overcome any obstacle. But as we see in this story, sometimes love alone isn't enough. True love, the kind that nurtures and uplifts, is built on mutual respect, trust, and shared goals. When those things begin to erode, it becomes harder to continue pretending that everything is okay. The boyfriend's decision to walk away wasn't a failure of love. It was a recognition that the love they once had changed, and perhaps it was time for both of them to move on. This story also brings to light the importance of self-love and self-respect. Too often, we sacrifice our own needs and happiness in an attempt to please others or maintain a relationship that no longer makes us feel fulfilled. The boyfriend's journey is a reminder that we must value ourselves enough to make the tough decisions, even when it feels like we're losing something important. In reality, He was gaining back control over his own life, his happiness, and his sense of self-worth. As the boyfriend moved forward, he didn't look back with regret, but with a newfound sense of freedom. The pain of the breakup was real, but it was a necessary part of the healing process. He was no longer chained to the past, but was instead embracing the possibility of a future that was all his own. He could now focus on rediscovering his passions, rebuilding his confidence, and finding peace in his own company. It wasn't going to be easy, and there would still be moments of doubt, but he knew that the first step toward a better life was making the decision to let go of what was no longer serving him. For many of us, this story strikes a chord because it speaks to the universal experience of facing loss and navigating the complexities of relationships. We've all been in situations where we were forced to make difficult choices, and the fear of being alone or facing the unknown can be overwhelming. But it is often in these moments that we grow the most. The boyfriend's decision to prioritize his own well-being over the comfort of staying in a relationship that no longer worked is something that many people struggle with. But in the end, it is the key to finding real happiness and inner peace. Life is full of uncertainties, and relationships, as beautiful as they are, come with their own set of challenges. But it is important to remember that we are the architects of our own happiness. The boyfriend in this story made a decision that ultimately allowed him to regain control over his life. And while the road ahead was uncertain, he knew that he was on the right path. The beauty of his journey lies not in the fact that he made it through unscathed, but in the way he learned to trust himself and choose his own happiness above all else. As we reflect on this story, it becomes clear that every decision we make has the power to shape our future. Whether it's a relationship, a career choice, or a personal goal, the path we choose can either keep us stagnant or push us toward growth. The boyfriend chose growth. He chose to face the discomfort of letting go in order to create a life where he could be true to himself and the person he wanted to become. This story isn't just about love, it's about courage, resilience, and the power of self-discovery. It's a reminder that sometimes the most important relationship we have is the one with ourselves. It's about knowing when to fight for something and knowing when to walk away. The boyfriend's journey is one of strength, and it serves as a beacon of hope for anyone who feels stuck or uncertain in their own life. If you found this story meaningful and it resonates with your own experiences, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories that dive deep into the complexities of life, love, and self-discovery. By subscribing, you'll continue to explore real-life situations, heartfelt lessons, and powerful insights that can help guide you through your own challenges. Life is a journey, and sometimes the best way to navigate it is by learning from the experiences of others. Join us on this path, and let's grow together, step by step. Subscribe now so you don't miss any of the valuable stories ahead.